Hi, this is Null Inquisitor with a quick video about true names and traditional fantasy setting for RPGs. You see, these past few weeks, I found myself reading some material for my next campaign. I'm preparing in advance because my current campaign is going strong. It's still going very strong, but I'm preparing myself. I'm brainstorming for the other one, and I found myself reading stuff like Fate Core, Desolation, and other stuff like Terra Primate and other things, and Desolation is one of those books that I kick myself in the back to go read it, and it's not supposed to be that way. So lately I was reading Desolation, slightly against my will again. I bought the book, so I have this obligation, economic obligation to read the book. And suddenly, reading Desolation, I had this epiphany. Now I think I understand something about myself better now. You see, there is a lot of stuff in Desolation that I don't like, and I mean I'm a sucker for post-apocalyptic and fantasy genre, but I'm more of a hero guys, and I'm more about pulp and action and not so much about survival and casting fireball and saving princesses and slaying dragons. But there was something in Desolation that revealed something about myself, and now I think I can appreciate more Desolation, and I will explain why just in a few seconds. So in Desolation there is a list of things that gets on my nerve. When you have read as many book of fantasy as I have, something you feel a little bit fed up on vanilla genre of fantasy, and Desolation is a proposal that is not supposed to be that way up front. It's a world that got blown up, and now you live in the aftermath. But I've made in my mind a list of things that I don't like about this game, this setting. The game is awesome, don't get me wrong. It's the setting, and I can fix it because I know why. There is terms like the Oriscan. There is cities like Saikin, Salkalar, Zamai, Lortaril, Loshtal, or Leshtal, and all these little made-up word gets on my nerve. It's like pounding in my head and make my brain hurt. You see, maybe those terms, those made-up words sound good in the mind of the author, but in my mind, and maybe I'm not an English-speaking native, but in my mind some of them sound horrible, and I'm like, no, I cannot read another passage with the word Leshtal somewhere. It's getting my brain hurt. So it got me into thinking about true names. There is a site called the Atlas of True Names. I will put it in the show notes. It's a site that is a study or a research made by someone about all the different names for the countries in the world and the rivers and the cities, and he found the the core word or the true meaning of each name, like the etymological root, the original meanings of all these terms, and he put it back on the map. So, for instance, my own country, the Canada, the original name in Native American is the land of settlement, or Quebec is a name in Native American. It means land of narrow water. Ontario is the land of beautiful lake. In the U.S., California is the land of successor, and Texas is the land of friends, and you can laugh there. So I think this is what gets on my nerve. Made up words that make no sense unless you're the author of the things. And I think I have a certain type of tolerance for these words. If the setting of desolation had these made up words, maybe a little bit less. You see there is a place on the map called the Warlands. I mean, that gets my imagination go right away. But the city of Keshkel or something, or Mittenskip, or Sinosur, or Casteltag. What's a tag? You see, it's not generic enough. The lands of Skandera. Skandera refer maybe to ashes. I don't know. The first time the word Skandera is mentioned in the book, they forgot the hand, so it's Skandera, and later it's Skandera or Skondera. You see, I don't want to get mad anymore about this setting. I will fix it. I will just rename stuff as I go. And this book setting is also a toolkit. You can make your own setting with it. The first thing I will do is rebuild the goblins the way I like it. Rename all the places with more generic names. You see, I have a tolerance. I discovered that I have low tolerance for made-up words. I like my fantasy to be more generic. A city name, Lord Taril, doesn't speak to me. If you say the city is called Black Sand or White Towers, it instantly conveys this image. You see that the city of White Towers are made up of several towers reaching for the sky, and they are white, perfectly white. So you see this image right away. Lord Taril is maybe a great way to fake elvish city, but does it? I would do it, those made up words, sometimes, but not all the freaking time. I've discovered that about myself. So I would end this video maybe by asking you, what's your tolerance for made up language and stuff? I know some people like Chloe Rose are expert at making stuff and making languages. And I know that settings like Golarion for Pathfinder have a lot of made up stuff, like the city of Corvosa, or but you have cities like Sandpoint or Riddleport that are really generic in name, and you can or the land of the Mammoth Lord. These kinds of words are easy to pick up. So have you a low tolerance too for made up words? Have you oh yeah, there is another thing about desolation that we'll have to fix. There is a passage in the book mentioning that this is the map of the before the cataclysm, and there is a map there is no map for the after, and it got me into thinking, and maybe it's the geology course that I had in college, but they don't give you a map for the world after the cataclysm, because it's supposed to be like this blank canvas where you can make up anything. But having these geological notion in my head, I cannot see the difference between the before and after being so dramatic, because you see land movement in real life is happening, but on millions and billions of years. So even if you have this big explosion of magic energy and stuff, and it move mountains, maybe if you're like close to the mountain, it will be like a really dramatic change in the environment, but from space it will look like nothing. So I don't see it happening in even the most realistic fantasy setting ever. Geological change requires so much energy to transform this matter and to transport it elsewhere, and so I cannot see this map going any different than it is now. Maybe less green in the north, but I cannot see the world after being very different than this one. So I don't see the point of telling me after that, hey, you have a blank canvas to make your own game. I would have preferred to have just a blank map and no names on it, and if I play Desolation, that's what I'm gonna do with it. I'm gonna start fresh, and I will destroy what I don't like, and rebuild from it. And it's a little bit of work that I would have preferred not to do. It's a concession that I will have to do if I want to run this game. Otherwise, I will just play GURPS and start fresh right away, just with these words as guidelines. So thanks for watching, and it was a long rant, but I finally reconciled myself with Desolation. I will pursue my reading with a more open mind about it, and yeah, it will be more acceptable in my view of the world. Thank you.